Russia's brutal crackdown on LGBTQ+ rights. The plight of LGBTQ+ individuals in Russia has reached a critical juncture, capturing the world's attention with its stark human rights violations. Amidst the oppressive fog of increasingly draconian laws and measures, the LGBTQ+ community finds itself besieged by an unrelenting crackdown. This assault on their rights can be traced back to the notorious 2013 Gay Propaganda Law, a sinister decree that bans any information aimed at the formation of non-traditional sexual orientations among minors. Shrouded in ambiguity, this discriminatory law effectively muzzles any public advocacy for LGBTQ+ rights, casting a chilling shadow over the community. As global outrage mounts and condemnation intensifies, the situation for LGBTQ+ individuals in Russia remains perilously grim, their voices stifled and their existence marginalized. Welcome to the Global Insight. In the wake of the Soviet Union's collapse, Russia experienced a fleeting moment of advancement for LGBTQ+ rights. Notable milestones included the decriminalization of homosexuality in 1993 and the provision for transgender individuals to amend their legal gender on identity documents starting in 1997. Despite these strides, formidable challenges remained. Homosexuality was considered a mental illness until 1999, and societal attitudes often leaned heavily towards conservatism. The early 2000s marked a pivotal shift with Vladimir Putin's ascent to power. This era, characterized by a surge in nationalism and social conservatism, saw a sharp rise in intolerance towards LGBTQ+ individuals. Pride parade requests were systematically denied, and LGBTQ+ activists faced relentless harassment, signaling a troubling reversal in the fight for equality and acceptance. In recent years, the Russian government has instituted a series of draconian laws that severely curtail the rights of LGBTQ+ individuals and organizations. The infamous 2013 federal law banning the propaganda of non-traditional sexual relationships to minors employs deliberately vague language to target LGBTQ+ content and activists, ostensibly to protect children. The situation worsened in December 2022 when President Putin signed an amendment extending the propaganda law to all age groups, thereby further isolating children from any information on sexual orientation and gender identity. The penalties for violating these oppressive laws are harsh. Individuals face fines ranging from 4,000 to 5,000 rubles, approximately $50 to $70, while organizations can be fined up to 1 million rubles, about $13,000. Foreign nationals risk imprisonment and deportation. The ambiguous wording of these laws enables widespread persecution of the LGBTQ+ community, leaving them vulnerable to arbitrary and severe punishment. In a chilling development, Russia's Supreme Court declared the international LGBT movement an extremist organization in November 2023. This designation has escalated fears among LGBTQ+ individuals and organizations who now risk criminal prosecution for actions as simple as displaying a rainbow flag. Human rights groups have vehemently condemned these laws, denouncing them as blatant violations of fundamental rights, including freedom of expression, association, and non-discrimination. The federal anti-LGBT propaganda law, which entered into force on June 30, 2013, defines propaganda as distribution of information that is aimed at the formation among minors of non-traditional sexual attitudes, attractiveness of non-traditional sexual relations, misperceptions of the social equivalence of traditional and non-traditional sexual relations, or enforcing information about non-traditional sexual relations that evokes interest to such relations. The law sets administrative fines for LGBTQ+ propaganda at 4,000 to 5,000 rubles for individuals, which is around $120 to $150, and up to 800,000 or 1 million rubles for NGOs, corporations, or other legal entities, which is about $24,000 to $30,000. More severe penalties are imposed for propaganda transmitted via the internet or other media networks or by a foreign citizen. Foreigners are also subject to 15 days of prison and deportation from Russia. In December 2022, an amendment to the propaganda law was signed into law by President Putin, extending it to all age groups. It also prohibits the distribution of materials that promote pedophilia or give minors a desire to change their sex. This legislation aimed to further isolate children from any information on sexual orientation and gender identity, including gender transition. The vague language of these laws lends itself to the targeting and ongoing persecution of Russia's LGBTQ+ community. LGBT activists are increasingly concerned as these laws are being implemented in an environment of increasing violence and hatred towards LGBTQ+ individuals. In November 2023, Russia's Supreme Court declared the international LGBT movement an extremist organization following a Ministry of Justice lawsuit. This decision raised concerns for LGBTQ+ individuals and organizations in Russia, as it could lead to criminal prosecution for simple acts like displaying the rainbow flag. Human rights groups have criticized these laws as discriminatory and a violation of fundamental rights such as freedom of expression, opinion, association and assembly, privacy, due process, equality and non-discrimination. The authorities' actions to sanction individuals based on these laws have been described as violating prohibitions on arbitrary detention, arbitrary application of criminal law due to a lack of sound legal basis, and retroactive application of criminal law. The implementation of regional anti-LGBT propaganda laws has resulted in numerous legal actions against activists and performers, including high-profile international figures like Madonna and Lady Gaga. These laws have been used to silence voices advocating for LGBTQ+ rights, effectively stifling any form of support or solidarity. Compounding this suppression, the Foreign Agents Law mandates that NGOs receiving foreign funding must register with the government, a requirement that has been weaponized against LGBT groups to further limit their advocacy efforts and stifle dissent. Incidents of hate violence against LGBTQ+ individuals have surged, with many cases receiving inadequate or no response from the police. Events such as pride parades are frequently disrupted by violence and arrests, underscoring a pervasive atmosphere of national homophobia and intolerance. The lack of proper police intervention not only perpetuates this cycle of violence, but also leaves the LGBTQ+ community feeling increasingly vulnerable and isolated. Proposed legislation threatens to strip custody rights from LGBT parents, adding homosexuality as a valid reason for the termination of parental rights. Although this proposal was initially withdrawn, its revision and resubmission signal persistent and ongoing threats to LGBTQ+ families. This legislation raises serious concerns about discrimination, family stability, and the fundamental rights of LGBTQ+ individuals to parent their children without fear of unjust interference. The international community has responded with a chorus of condemnation and calls to action. Human rights organizations and governments worldwide are urging protective measures for LGBTQ+ individuals in Russia. Boycotts of Russian products and diplomatic measures are being employed to highlight the global opposition to these discriminatory laws, demonstrating a unified stance of solidarity with the embattled. In response to the hostile environment, initiatives such as #SSHHI and Pride House events are striving to create safe spaces for LGBTQ+ individuals, promoting visibility and fostering a sense of support and community. Meanwhile, multinational corporations operating in Russia are under increasing scrutiny regarding the impact of anti-LGBT laws on their operations. This scrutiny underscores the necessity for corporate responsibility and advocacy, emphasizing that businesses must play a role in opposing discriminatory practices and supporting human rights. Reported cases of hate violence against LGBTQ+ individuals have increased, with inadequate police response. Events like pride parades are marred by violence and arrests, reflecting a broader context of national homophobia and intolerance. In recent developments, Russia has introduced alarming legislation that poses severe threats to the rights of LGBTQ+ individuals. One of the most concerning proposals seeks to revoke custody rights from LGBTQ+ parents, using homosexuality as a valid reason for the termination of parental rights. Initially withdrawn, this legislation has been revised and resubmitted, signaling an ongoing and insidious effort to undermine the family structures of LGBTQ+ individuals. If passed, this law would not only strip parents of their fundamental rights, but also subject children to potential instability and discrimination, disrupting family bonds and placing countless families in jeopardy. Additionally, the expanded scope of the 2013 gay propaganda law now encompasses all age groups, further isolating LGBTQ+ individuals from accessing information and support. This extension prohibits any public expression or dissemination of content related to non-traditional sexual orientations and gender identities, thereby criminalizing the mere existence of LGBTQ+ advocacy. The ambiguity of the law's language facilitates broad and arbitrary enforcement, leading to increased persecution and marginalization. This legislative onslaught underscores a broader strategy to silence, stigmatize, and erase LGBTQ+ identities from the public sphere, perpetuating a climate of fear and intolerance throughout the nation. The international response to Russia's new laws targeting LGBTQ+ rights has been swift and unequivocal, marked by widespread condemnation and calls for urgent action. Human rights organizations across the globe have denounced these legislative measures as blatant violations of fundamental human rights, including freedom of expression, association, and the right to family life. Organizations like Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch have been vocal in their criticism, urging the international community to hold the Russian government accountable for its actions and to support the embattled LGBTQ+ community within the country. Governments worldwide have also taken a stand against these discriminatory laws. Several nations have issued statements condemning Russia's actions, emphasizing the need for protecting the rights and dignity of LGBTQ+ individuals. Diplomatic measures such as imposing sanctions and boycotting Russian products have been employed to exert pressure on the Kremlin. Additionally, some countries have offered asylum and support to those fleeing persecution. This global solidarity underscores a collective commitment to opposing intolerance and championing human rights, sending a powerful message that the international community stands with Russia's LGBTQ+ community in their fight for justice and equality. The relentless crackdown on LGBTQ+ rights in Russia presents formidable challenges, with draconian legislation and escalating violence casting a dark shadow over the community's safety and freedom. This oppressive climate underscores the urgent need for sustained international pressure and advocacy to safeguard LGBTQ+ rights and hold the Russian government accountable for its actions. Despite the bleak circumstances, the unwavering resilience and solidarity of LGBTQ+ activists worldwide serve as a beacon of hope. Their tireless efforts to champion equality and human dignity offer a glimmer of optimism for progress and change in Russia's treatment of its LGBTQ+ population in 2024. The fight for justice is far from over, but the indomitable spirit of the global LGBTQ+ community continues to inspire and drive the quest for a more inclusive and tolerant future. That's it for now on this worrying step back for human rights in the world. If you enjoyed this video, let us know. Tell us what you think. Why is Putin doing this? How do you think moderate Russians feel? Will there be a backlash? Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel at The Global Insight. And until next time, stay tuned.